in round 26, and Feyenoord are leading by a slender margin. It's not been the most exciting of games. There's been very little in it. Only 2 shots on target. Feyenoord scoring with 1 thanks to Jens Toornstra. Doesn't look like there'll be any changes at the break. That's the message from down on the touchline anyway. Won't be too long, you wouldn't feel, before Cambuur do try and switch things over, because John, they really haven't had an outball to Bartow or Narsing. They haven't been able to, by that one header from Pearson, make any real threat, have they?
No, and you just sense that they need some pace in there, really. Jack Byrne, I think, has found some space in the middle of the field in that number 10 role, but he hasn't really been able to feed anything, and when the ball has gone forward to either Narsing or Bartow, it's come back off them pretty quick. They've lost possession. It doesn't look like they can penetrate this Feyenoord back line. If I was looking to the bench, I'd be looking at maybe a little bit of pace. That Byrne has threaded 1 or 2 balls through. I think from Feyenoord's point of view, Van Bronckhorst, I think he's got to get them playing just a lot more slick, a bit more patient from midfield. The build-up for me, Kite is in a sort of in limbo, almost in that advanced midfield role, and wants to push on into the front line, and almost finds himself alongside Kramer at times, when he'd be better off just dropping off a few yards and linking the play up.
So Bartow got a bit of a whack in the first half, doesn't it? Cut under that eye. Here come Van Bronckhorst and Wouters, and Feyenoord. Cambuur the first back out from the depths here at the cap.
Well, the scoreline's okay, but the performance for me, far from convincing, far from satisfactory if I was the coach. Up against a side who aren't really posing too much of a threat. It'll be important to continue, as we said at the top of the show, 2 wins last Sunday, Thursday night in the Cup, get into the final, get another win under your belts this weekend, and just builds momentum and confidence. And when you've gone through a spell that Feyenoord did at the beginning of this year, and the result is probably more important than the performance.
3 wins in a week would be very nice indeed. Cambuur's away record isn't that impressive, just 1 win in the last 21 attempts. That was in Rotterdam, but at Excelsior, not here. It's the man whose goal separates the sides as it stands. Fans will be expecting a little better. So the visitors get us back off and underway, trailing by that Jens Toornstra goal to 0. Both sides will be hopeful of getting a few more shots on goal and a few more shots on target. Just 2 in the first half as a whole. Had to wait 36 minutes for the first. That was the goal. Cambuur need to offer a little bit more. And so Vrijvloot and Kevin van Veen can provide firepower from the bench. Final bench stocked with a little more talent. Should things begin to go away from them here, and it's not against probability either, given how 2016 has panned out so far. They seem to have turned the corner, but you just never know.
Well, you certainly never know at 1-0, do you? That mistake at the back has been their Achilles heel at times, Feyenoord. Switching off, clumsy mistake that you look back on and think, oh, should never let a team in and get a chance like that.
This is Karsdorp. Alamadi wanted it earlier. Ricochet to Narsing. Backer will find Narsing again. Feyenoord have been good at getting back. Cambuur haven't moved the ball quickly enough to get in behind and exploit any space. Now Feyenoord completely back in position. Most people behind the ball. Here's Pearson. PSV have already won. They dispatched Groningen last night. Ajax have won today against Willem II, so the onus on Feyenoord to do the same. More importantly, as far as they're concerned, AZ and Utrecht also have won and stand ahead of them, as do Vitesse, who beat Roda. So 5th at kick-off, they're now 6th Feyenoord after Vitesse closed out that victory.
I think they've missed Feyenoord. I like him when he plays in that midfield role. Feyenoord in there. Hasn't played that so often recently. He's come in. Feyenoord, always feel like he sort of manages the pace of the game. Controls the game very well.
Back from Piesman to Nunes. Yeah, he seems to be one of the victims of the cull from Van Bronckhorst. Gives you that little bit extra from free kicks as well. He's got a really nice delivery. So Jens Toornstra has taken on that mantle. When Feyenoord were playing so well at the start of the season, Toornstra couldn't get a look in. It was Gustafsson who was grabbing a lot of the headlines. He has fallen out of favour as well and is now back on the bench today. Here is Toornstra. Slotty. Cast up one of the upcoming players, one of those who's, like Van Beek, come up through the ranks and broken through. Here's Daryl Lachman. Touched on to Bartow. Taken out by Van Beek. Yellow cards in that first half going to Feyenoord and Bakker within a minute or so of each other. Byrne goes back. Crowd's gone a little quiet, hasn't it?
Oh, I'm not surprised. It's hasn't set off at a racy pace this second half, has it?
That sense of nervousness, even with this 1-0 scoreline. We've seen it far too many times already this season. Both sides haven't quite got into their stride, putting it generously after the half-time break. Nunes, who hasn't had that much to do either. One save. Didn't have much chance for the goal. Bakker. Byrne, who hasn't looked overawed, quite the contrary. He's risen to the challenge so far. Are on the pitch taking photos when they first arrived, the Cambuur team. Looking around him at one of the most iconic stadiums, certainly in the Netherlands. The big names in European football over the years. Feyenoord not quite given the financial resources that Dutch football enjoys or doesn't enjoy at the moment. Not quite the big name on the European stage it was. Here's Piesman. Feyenoord were thinking offside. Piesman had ghosted in again. Didn't really make the most of that. Seemed to have surprised himself.
No, he should have done a lot. Got to get the players breaking into the box, committing people forward when it was Congo didn't clear the ball. All started by Jack Byrne. He really hasn't looked overawed at all. In fact, he's looked the most creative player and threat for Cambuur. I'm very impressed by his composure on the ball.
There he is, looking to slip in the overlapping overhaul.
He's the one always looking forward, isn't he? Always wanting to penetrate the back line of Feyenoord.
Feyenoord themselves stuck in second gear, I think, at the moment.
Well, when they do press up high, the midfield and back four haven't really pushed up with them, so they're sort of neither doing not one thing nor the other. I noticed it a couple of times in the first half. Go chasing the ball up front, but you've got to be supported by the rest of the team, and if that doesn't happen and you get out once or twice, which Cambuur have, they found it relatively easy. They found them in space, and Feyenoord really haven't sort of made the decision what they want to do.
Elia, who might change that here. He's going to have to do much of it himself, and it was good. Good hand from the goalkeeper. That was creeping inside the post, I think.
Well, he had to get down smartly, didn't he? Who's decent effort.
Feyenoord corner. First time they've shown life in the second half. Tony Delaney to deliver it. Kramer on Van der Streek. A little late. Referee has seen enough. They've had a little spat afterwards as well.
Well, he's got to play for a free kick there, surely. It was late, it was a push, and couldn't clear the ball properly, so I thought it was a simple decision for the referee. I was waiting for the whistle, but what do I know?
He has been lenient as far as Kramer's concerned, Dennis Higler. Lackman under pressure from Delaney. Goalkeeper puts him under a little bit more. Fielded from Bronkhorst. Van Beek.
Well, I think it's been disappointing from the front too. Narsing and Barto, they really haven't offered much in a way of a target for the Cambuur teammates who are on the ball and been on the ball with quite a considerable amount of possession. You just get the feeling they don't know whether they're going to go long, whether they're going to hit them as a target, slip them in. They have offered very, very little, the two of them.
Ten minutes in. Not sure either side has covered themselves too much in glory. Wasn't the most appealing of games, the reverse fixture actually in Leeuwarden. It took Feyenoord a long, long time to break Cambuur down. Held out till the 77th minute before Kramer got in on the act, and then Dirk Kout's late penalty sealed it.
Just thinking with results as they have been for Feyenoord, I suppose they can be forgiven for just feeling their way back into some form. It's just been such a dreadful start to the year that inch by inch you want to improve things. what's going through his mind. Does he make a change? Does he stick as it is? 1-0. Keep it tight at the back. Does he want to give the fans around here something more?
At the moment, he must be feeling fairly confident that they've got that one goal, and Cambuur are showing no real signs of testing Kenneth from there. It's a game that's been played at a sedentary pace at the moment. They need something to animate them, I think. Based on the history of this fixture, particularly here, but in the Eredivisie in general, where Cambuur have managed just 1 point, 13 games. It's aimless, and it's met with a lot of derision from the fans behind Nienhuis's goal. Needs an injection of something, that's for sure.
Not making our job easy, are they?
Maybe Byrne can give us something to describe. Here's Carrot, he can't. Overhaul.
It is very sloppy play from Feyenoord. They are better than this, and I don't know whether the players are lacking confidence, whether the system hasn't quite suited them, but they're the players out there. They've got to take responsibility, sometimes work it out for themselves.
Well, Cowder's been as busy as ever, but he's just not as effective in his current position. Even Kramer at the moment is having to chase things down. He has gone a little wider in the second half, but that's not really changed too much in his fortune either. Here's Van der Streek.
Well, I think it's always difficult when he's shown great touches, great quality, as we know the player he is. But things got to happen around you. Players have got to run off the ball. They've got to show energy off the ball. You know, the little give and goes. If the pace of the team drop in possession, it's very difficult to look for this second goal.
Congolo on Van der Streek is what has brought up this free kick. A little further out, but it's reason enough for Vermeer to start to marshal his defenders. They're holding a line right, or just in front of the edge of the D. Cambuur have 2 players beyond at the moment.
Well, as in the first half, very high.
Barto, the target. He's not fared too well against the Feyenoord backline. This is Selamadi and Elia, and Feyenoord are breaking in numbers here with Karsdorp, who was going to have his work cut out to get that one. McIntosh got there first. And it's a move which should have produced a little more than it did. They've played for an hour. This is Virgil Narsing. Got his ball across, but nobody's attacking that space. Both Van der Streek and Barto went to the near post. Elliot tangled up with Pearceman.
Well, it was sloppy from Feyenoord in that last break down this left-hand side with Karsdorp. The right back coming up on the left side. Sloppy ball to him, and then there we see 2 strikers making the fatal error of going to the near post at the same time.
The sense of unease and restlessness is only going to continue until Feyenoord manage to find, if they can, the second goal. If Marcel Kaiser, the Cambuur manager down there, is thinking about a change.
Well, I think he's got to. There's a couple of options up front on the bench. suppose if you're Van Bronckhorst, you wait for the first move from Marcel Kaiser, maybe. See if he changed the system.
Kramer guiding the header down to Jens Toornstra. 3 for him to aim for in the box. Hit that one very long. Elias done well. Vilena might have had a strike at goal. Back instead to Elliott. Elliott against Pearceman. Looking to pull it back to where the red and white shirts were massing on the edge of the box. There is going to be a Cambuur change. Alamadi. Cat. Too high for Kramer. Swept away by Pearceman. This is Byrne, who was clattered there.
Well, you can't believe it, can he, Byrne? He knew exactly what he was doing. He was drawing the foul in.
Vilena swept back, and it's behind everybody. This is Karsdorp. This is Toornstra, and that's a fine save. Well, the man whose goal separates the sides, almost providing a second. It's as close as Feyenoord has come.
Well, they switched off there, didn't they? Vilhena got the ball and thought Karsdorp was going to rip one and fell nicely. Toornstra on the turn. That's a magnificent save. Really top draw save from Ninos.
Dead ball situation not properly exploited. Alamadi. So much easier, more routine one. Out of keeping with the second half as a whole so far. Something for them to maybe latch on to.
Bottigini, unchallenged, sort of collapsed on the ball, didn't he? It was getting lower and lower. He was tracking the flight of the ball, and great small mercies. Cambuur.
Well, here are the two striking changes that you hinted they might make. Kevin van Veen and Rijvloot on. Sander van der Streek and Sjur Overholt are the two men coming off. Bilal Basashikolu is just waiting to come on for Feyenoord. We'll have to wait a little bit for that because Cambuur have the free kick after that rather unorthodox header from Bottegen. A double switch from Kaiser. Cambuur put this one right on the money. Aiming for Andreas Kavicius. Barto is in there. Congolo away. Again, not the most convincing defending.
Congolo's normally more steady than he has been today. He's looked slightly anxious at times with some of his clearances, some of the defending.
It might be a set piece which would provide Cambuur's best chance of something here. That's another Byrne one. This is Pearceman. Quickly closed down. He needed to be. Elliott battling his way through. Narsing helping out at the back. Barto, who now has some striking support. He's got support arriving on the right with Pearceman. That's a decent ball. Launching himself out of his to Van Veen. The man on loan from Scunthorpe can only put it behind, but it's given them more impetus, that's for sure.
Well, it has. It just shows you having those options of bodies in the box, movement, just injection of upping the pace a small degree.
Half-hearted appeal. It hit the arm of Bottegen, but from such close quarters, it's only a corner. Midway through the second half now, Cambuur deliver something. It's a lower one. It's an awful finish, though. Not at all what Barto was intending. The rain is back. final change is imminent. Bashashi Kyolu replacing Kramer rather than a wide man. It's an interesting move. Deprives them of a target man.
Well, I don't think Kramer's really offered them too much. Certainly with the way that Feyenoord have played towards him and off him, they haven't got much joy. Bashashi, injection of pace that he's got, but Kramer hasn't really. Might give them a bit of an impetus to look to slip the ball in. Right, we'll go down the middle. Never really looked comfortable, sort of in that top of the, almost a diamond in midfield. Number 10 role for Kite. Wasn't able to link up with Kramer then, really never got anything going between them. I think Bashashi over on that right-hand side. The threat that he posed with his pace could cause problems.
Nasting. We've certainly seen more of the ball in wide areas. That's a lovely ball. Karsdorp safely behind. Van Veen lurking again.
Well, it's much better, isn't it? Simple. Get the ball, got time and space to put the cross in. It's a lovely ball. So difficult to defend, and Karsdorp does really well at the back post to see that out.
The best spell of the game, and you do wonder when these things happen why it took so long. They look a very different team. However, they still trail by a goal to nil. Burns' corner. Flicked on by Van Veen and over the bar. Did it flick off somebody else on the way through as well?
It just came off Kite, didn't it? At the near post, doing his job. Well, I think his delivery's been outstanding, Byrne.
Another one to come. Another good one right into the area. Van Veen off the bar, forced in by Barto. The changes have worked, and Cambuur are level. It's been a really good 4 minutes or so, and the 130 fans that have made the trip finally have something to cheer.
Well, absolutely, and there was the danger sign just on the previous corner. Certainly in the last few minutes with the changes that were made. Lovely flick there. Vermeer does well to keep out the first one, but Bartu's on hand to put it away. It's a lovely delivery, fantastic glancing header, and well, I don't think it's no more than they deserve. Feyenoord have been really vulnerable to this and going through the motions, and I think they've only got themselves to blame. And they've made them pay.
It's been a really lacklustre second half so far from the home side. Not much in the way of passion and endeavour. Barto, who'd only managed 3 goals before today. 2 of those were in the same game against Groningen. Now has just the 2nd goal under Marcel Kaiser's tenure. Congolo, who we've barely seen as an attacking threat so far, but in the final 20 minutes they're going to have to deliver something much better than they managed so far. Advantage final. This is Toornstra. Count was offside. Found by Toornstra, but he delayed his pass a little too long.
Yeah, I think Kite should have tracked his run, bent his run slightly better than that. Always knew he'd be vulnerable to drifting offside. Certainly some disconsolate Feyenoord fans around here now. They were concerned before. Well, they must be feeling pretty aggrieved at the moment about this performance. I mean, it's always on the cards, wasn't it? As long as it stayed at 1-0 and, you know, Cambuur not offering too much, but we knew they had a couple of options on the bench. It was just really, when was Marcel Kaiser going to make the change, and what sort of impact could they have? Well, shown to devastating effect with Jack Burns' lovely corner over there from the far side, and glancing header, and Vermeer couldn't do much about it. kept out the first one well, but the follow-up has put Cambuur right on the front foot. Sometimes it's just about momentum, isn't it, in these games? 20 minutes to go, Cambuur have got nothing to lose, really.
They've got another free kick here as well. El Amadi lunging on Raiflot, who came in hard himself, actually.
I think he was entitled to challenge for that ball, had to go for it.
Angled through by Bakker, looking for Barto Flut, and now Byrne. He's looking this time for Ferjan Narsing. Pearsman. Feyenoord need to show a little bit of invention themselves. It's really lacking. Really disappointing given the week they've had so far. Pasashikolu over there hasn't yet got into the game either. Didn't take Van Veen too long to make an impact. Well, he's hardly been prolific, Barto, and he's struggled to shoulder the goal-scoring burden, but he's done enough from about 10 centimetres out to make sure they're level. And a point here would be a very good one. Certainly for them. Feyenoord have a trip to Vitesse on the horizon next Sunday, and then they'll host the Graafschap. Could really do Feyenoord, do Cambuur a favour by taking points off them. For Cambuur, it's a trip to Almelo and Heracles, and then Roda, and a big game with the Graafschap at the start of April.
Well, we're in for a fascinating final 15-16 minutes or so, aren't we? You know, how's this game going to turn out? You just can't tell. The Bronkhorst just sat back, hunched, doesn't quite know what to make of it, I don't think, like the rest of us.
Well, that one effort from Toornstra. It's been a largely toothless second half so far. Vermeer gets lucky. Cambuur look the more likely at the moment. No free kick there. It was strong play from McIntosh, charging out of defence on El Amadi. This is Elliott. McIntosh again for company. Here is Pasashikolu. The ball boys have been pretty swift today. 15 to go. Feyenoord need to be a little quicker in their speed of thought as well. The crowd are not going to stop being restless. They're not going to forget this performance either, even if they do come up with a winning goal. Feyenoord, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back at the moment.
I think you've got to say it's been a pretty inept display from Feyenoord so far. You know, against a team poor away form. Conceded so many goals this season, scored so few. And yet here they are at 1-1 with 15 minutes to go. They really should be dominating this game much better.
Again, it just doesn't come off. This is about the time in the game in Leeuwarden that Feyenoord did wake up. Drifted into Kout. Pearsman has had a really good game at right back and gets there again. El Amadi, though, will retrieve possession for Feyenoord. Elliott. Kout, the obvious target. Elliott can't control.
I mean, I was looking forward to seeing Tony Vilhena. So much has been made about him. Such a young prospect. He's in the team, and I haven't seen so little of him.
Yes, Cambuur have restricted space, and they did for much of that first half not really give Feyenoord too much in the way of a threat. They were sitting back and waiting to be broken down, and the invention wasn't there to do it. But even so, there is definitely a gulf in the second half of the campaign between PSV, Ajax and everybody else, including Feyenoord. The more that happens, the more the fans are going to get even more frustrated. Not the return to Rotterdam that Stefan de Vrij was hoping for, I don't think. Certainly they have different options on the bench, of course. Gustafsson is one of those. Vejnovic, as we mentioned, is another. Achaba, who has had real impact, coming on as a third.
I think it's a sign of the pressure that's around this club at the moment. Real stress. You can see it in the body language of the players. Elias sort of saying, look, keep going, don't listen to the crowd, keep your heads up.
Hoisted high. Elias the target. Congolo is up there. They've got plenty of support. Toornstra. Oh, another fine save, but Ninas can't deal with that. Dirk Kuyt. Who else to the rescue for Feyenoord? 4 goals in 4 games. The captain has come good, and it might just be good enough for all 3 points. A fabulous save from the goalkeeper, but he was powerless from the follow-up.
Well, form is temporary and class is permanent, isn't it? So they've got the better players. Here's the ball whipped in. I think the chance is gone, and then what about this for the volley? Toornstra. It's a great strike. It's a brilliant save, and there's the man on hand, Dirk Kuyt. Brilliant save. Well, look at that for a poacher's instinct to get on the end of it, using all his experience to guide it away. And well, are they going to get out of jail and get a result here with such a poor performance?
He wanted to stay on side as well, didn't he? Been tempting to try and anticipate palm out or punch out, has actually happened.
I thought he was offside to start with. That was my initial reaction. He's bound to be, but
well, it's working the crowd up, but as I mentioned before, they're not going to forget the rather disappointing 40 minutes or so that went before. That is if Cambuur don't whistle up another equalising goal for taking away. Not entirely convincingly, only as far as Pearceman. This is Bartow. Might just prove enough. Third wouldn't go amiss, certainly in terms of calming the crowd down. So there's to be another change. There's to be another free kick, that's for sure. Vilhena, who's already been booked, has conceded that one. Burn over it for Cambuur, who are sending the big men, some of them at least, forward. Right on the money, and Botekin has done well to get rid of it. Virgil Narsing. Pearceman, who had the chance to put it in, and has managed to wrestle his way away from Vilena. Now goes down. Elliott helping out defensively. Barto has managed to keep it in play. This is Eric Bakker. Not much space in there at all. I think there might be a yellow card for El Amadi here.
Well, it was a clumsy challenge, but culmination of being at the centre of things in that midfield battle. They're very late. It's a little bit of a stamp. It's a bit of frustration being overrun at times in midfield.
Lost count of how many free kicks Cambuur and Jack Byrne have had from this sort of position. And it comes again from the Irishman. Congolo doesn't get there. Eventually they've stabbed it away. Back from Byrne. Another pinpoint ball for Pearson. This time Congolo does a little better. Here is Lathman. Now Bakker. Slotty from Rijvloot. Has been a second half very short on quality and very bitty at times.
Well, the one saving grace for Van Bronckhorst is that the scoreline is so much more important than the performance. I think it was vital, having turned a corner last weekend, that at least he kept the momentum going. I think fans can forgive a performance if the results are going their way. Very difficult the other way around.
Final 5 minutes approaching.
Just shows you how far they've fallen, in a sense, in the last 2-3 months. You know that this is acceptable and would be tolerated.
Sashikolu's done really well to get that, and Elliott's done even better. That should seal it. Wonderful instinctive finish made by the young Turk, dispatched by the Dutch winger. And that should be that for Feyenoord.
Well, he may well shake his head. Poor defending. The ball comes in and the defender's got to be favourite to get there and clear the danger. Lathman does neither. Sashikolu does really well to whip the ball in, and this is all about Aliyah wanting to get to the ball first. At this stage of the game, that's, I think, a really encouraging sign. I think he's never let his head drop throughout the whole game, Aliyah. He deserves that. It's a good finish.
He had a big part to play in the second goal. He's claimed that one himself. Cambuur's resistance is finally at an end. They've also just made a change. On has come Vesseldammers against his parent club. Looked like McIntosh who made way. Well, it puts a much more comprehensive sheen on it, a sheen that they don't fully deserve, Feyenoord, given the performance, but as you say, result matters a little more at the moment. And they will head back up to third place. Given the form of those above them at the moment, but not at the final whistle. The likes of RZ, who have been on fire. Vincent Janssen too, who scored again today. Utrecht are starting to look like being able to sustain their challenge for a top 4 finish. Even Vitesse, who've been disappointing since Peter Bosz left, are up there at the moment. Snaffled by Congolo. Ball one really would have a harsh feel about it from Cambuur's perspective. They've done again what they did in the first meeting this season. They've struck late to end Cambuur's hopes of getting something from the game. There's again, capped in space. Not this time. Here is a concession by Van Bronckhorst. A chance just to add fresh legs to the midfield. Jan-Ali van der Heijden replacing El Amadi, former Aston Villa midfielder. He's in no real hurry to get off the field. 90 seconds plus stoppage time to go. The game is all but done.
Well, he's put a good shift in, El Hamadi. One of the right spots in that team. Put himself about. I think sometimes he's been a bit isolated on his own in the midfield area. He's done really well, I think, Jack Byrne. He always wants to get on the ball, doesn't he, and give little give and goes. Good quality of delivery. I think you can be really pleased with his performance. But otherwise, you can see why they're down the bottom of the league, Cambuur. But apart from that flourish when Kaiser made the 2 subs, the 2 changes, sort of petered out, hasn't it, when Feyenoord got their second. The game looked beyond them and really took the wind out of their sails. Just for a moment there, we thought, well, could they spring a surprise even?
Certainly looked like it at the time. This is Toornstra. Pearson will try and get it away. We'll now find out. But it's 3 minutes of stoppage time. Couch trying too hard to look for a penalty. And Dennis Sigler says it was a foul, but the initial contact was outside.
Well, it's a great bit of skill, and it's, again, you know, I've said it once in this game, it's what Dirk Kuyt's all about. Even at 35, chasing lost causes. 3-1 in the 90th minute. He goes and chases the ball down, and lovely little back heel. I tell you, this is close as you'll get, I think, to a penalty. Well, the referee's probably got it spot on. The first infringement just outside. Eases from that angle, but I think he's got it right. I think Pearsman, who's had a bit to run around during the game, kept at it. I think they're both making the point. It's in, it's out.
Well, I think there's going to be stoppage time at the end of the stoppage time, that's for sure. It's a minute elapsed pretty much since the foul. Feyenoord might yet get a 4th into the back of Dammers. Shorter one. This is Elia. No way through for him. The only silver lining for Cambuur is that the sides around them have also lost over the weekend. De Graafschap beaten by Zwolle on Saturday. Excelsior, who are above them, 6 points above them, also beaten by RZ. so they won't be bottom of the Eredivisie with this result. There are only 2 points between themselves and De Graafschap. Initially looking for the space on the far side. He's given it to Van Veen, who momentarily gave Cambuur hope in the second half. They'll have another go. Well struck, well saved.
Yeah, decent strike, wasn't it? White with enough pace, more direction. Comfortable for Vermeer.
Overall, they've just about done enough, Feyenoord. It's not been pretty or even convincing, has it, at times? But
no, it's been dreadful, got to be honest. The performance has not been good at all. But, you know, they've got that quality. Always going to be in an ascendancy, player to player, to Cambuur. Bigger budgets, bigger players. Far from convincing, but an important 3 points for them.
Feyenoord head back up into third. Well, they huffed and they puffed. They only had 2 shots on target in the first half. Jens Toornstra converted one of those, and it was not looking good when Martijn Barto forced in the equaliser with 20 minutes to go. But as they did when these two met earlier in the season, 2 late goals. Kuyt and Elia rounding things off. 3-1 the final score. Feyenoord, for the moment, hanging on the coattails of the top 2. They'll have to improve on this, though, if they win back the fans, who, again, put in a protest. Some at one end not showing till the 12th minute when they came back in, waving banners and placards. Appeased momentarily, but they have to do a lot better in forthcoming matches, Feyenoord, if they're to build on this. Tail of the tape. Just 3 shots on target for Cambuur, the last of those coming right at the end from Kevin Van Veen. They did improve when the 2 striking substitutes were sent on, but not enough to change the game in their favour. An equaliser, but Feyenoord cruised through the last 15 minutes, made it safe. So as the Cambuur players go and acknowledge the small band of fans, this is the way the goals came in. Kramer offside and committing handball to set up Jens Toornstra.
Yeah, not just once, but twice. The officials missed it. Got them off the hook, really, with a bad performance in the opening spells of the game. That was Elia. It's going close in the second half. Could they get the second goal and kill the game off? Long time coming in their efforts to try and, I suppose, try and have a convincing performance. Very few and far between, the quality. This was Vilhena whipping the ball across. That sort of summed things up, didn't it? Karsdorp with the shot. Toornstra, really swift, neat volley.
2 really good saves from the goalkeeper, but it was a double change which changed it for Cambuur. Kevin Van Veen sent on by Marcel Keizer along with Rijf Loos, his header off the bar. And then the rebound forced in by Martijn Barto for just a 4th goal of the season.
Well, you just thought this might be the catalyst for Cambuur against a sloppy Feyenoord side of performance. You thought that might be the catalyst for them. It wasn't. They seemed to have that little flurry, and then Toornstra with another fantastic volley. Absolutely brilliantly saved, but Dirk Kuyt on hand and put it away. Thought there might be a hint of offside. Obviously timed his run perfectly. Great strike, and, well, got them back in front, got the noses in front. And then I think it was really an uphill struggle for Cambuur to get back in the game and get back on level in terms. It wasn't to be, was it?
This kind of summed it up. More good work from Basashikolu, another substitute, and Elliot just wanted it more in between Lachman and Pearson. And at that stage of the game, to show that energy and commitment was really, really encouraging for Feyenoord.
Yeah, it was Lachman who let it go, and then Pearson at the back there just let Elia sneak in. It was a neat finish.
So this is the way things stand then. Feyenoord back above Vitesse, AZ and Utrecht into 3rd place, but the gap to PSV, the leaders, now 22 points. Ajax just a point behind after their victory over Willem II earlier on today. That's the way things stand at the bottom. 6 points the gap between Cambuur and Excelsior. They are 2 points though ahead of the Graafschap, and the meeting between those two, the bottom two at the start of April, now takes on real significance. So that's all from the camp then in Rotterdam. Feyenoord huffed and puffed, but in the end they just did enough and have won here by 3-1. Good night.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Love your Skoda Fabia your way. Now with 0% APR representative and £500 towards your deposit. What car, best small car, 2 years in a row? Skoda. Simply clever.
Are you a little unsure which way to go with your pension? Start your journey by making an appointment with PensionWise. Set up by the government, we offer free, impartial guidance on your options. Book a telephone or face-to-face appointment now with one of our friendly team. Call 0800 138 1583. PensionWise. Your money, your choice.
The future belongs to the fast, and to help you accelerate, we've created a new company, one totally focused on what's next for your business. Accelerating innovation, accelerating next. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise.
Everyone's got an Experian credit score, but if you don't look after it, then it can't look after you. We've helped over 7 million people nurture their score, and we can show you how to improve and nurture yours. To help you get a better rate on loans, credit cards, or even a mortgage, sign up today at experian.co.uk. Experian. Make it count.
Clicking around. Book direct at Hilton.com for the lowest price online. And start playing. Start relaxing. Start loving. Book direct at Hilton.com and start saving.
At 12:30 every Friday, around Myrtle Farm, Somerset, there's a moment when time sort of stops. It's the moment the Thatcher's family see if their next vat of apple cider tastes as good as it should, because it's only then that they let it leave the farm. That's why Thatcher's is what cider's supposed to taste like.
Complain away.
What's this I hear about your incredible Cheltenham offer being available to everyone, even riffraff?
That's right. It's one incredible offer.
Money back is a free bet if your horse finishes second in all races at the Cheltenham Festival.
That's every single race, every single day. Surely not for the great unwashed too.
Well then, Nelly.
Do they get their own life-size Ruby Welsh cake?
No. No, they don't. Thanks, Paddy Power.
You're welcome.
Last night, the night before, jump up, baby, jump up. 24 hours at my door. Jump up, baby, jump up. I got that to let me in. Jump up, baby, jump up. Eating up hags, rolling pins. Jump up, baby, jump up. Downtown, Sycamore Town. Jump up, baby, jump up. Oh, jump up, baby, jump up. Oh, jump up, baby, jump up. Oh, jump
unmissable drama this March on Sky Sports. You're watching Sky Sports 5, your home of sport.
The Welsh fans had done this huge tunnel all the way back out into the car park. The abuse I got was unbelievable. I remember getting to my car and sitting in the car, putting central locking on, and just thinking, not next time. Not going through that again. I, as a great England fan, used to listen to grandstand music and sit down to watch us play in the 80s, and vast majority of the time, sadly, it was just disappointing.
A quick one down channel 1, Roy Laidlaw goes wide, Laidlaw going clear, can he make the line? A brilliant try by the Scottish scrum half.
I think the main change for English rugby was when Jeff Cook was made manager. He had the strength of character, foresight to just decide, I'm going to stick with a core of players, make my tough decisions and let them become a team. And I think that was the deciding factor in the sort of late 80s, early 90s for England, which led to 3 Grand Slams. I got a call from Jeff Cook, and he said, I'd like you to be captain. And I laughed, and he didn't, because he's from Yorkshire. And he said, I'm being serious. And I was like, I remember to this day the first time I stood up in front of them, because these guys were my heroes. I still hadn't come to terms with the fact that I was in a team with them. I'd been watching them when I was at school. What on earth have I got to say that these guys would think of listening? So when I stood up, there were a lot of sort of, there was this sort of sniggering, giggling, and everyone pretended they didn't care because we were pretty bad. This is the biggest honour I've ever had, and I'm going to take it seriously, and I'd quite like you to as well. My impact was minimal as new captain, apart from maybe just sitting there and going, guys, let's just go out and express ourselves. Genuinely played some great rugby, which I think surprised the Aussies. And I remember I got knocked out towards the end, but I remember sitting in the change room and just crying. It was just the relief, the pressure of it. And we'd won, and won with a little bit of adventure and risk-taking, and I think going forward that gave us the belief that actually we can play. I was a very focused young guy. I don't think I was a particularly pleasant young guy. My life was all about working out how England could win rugby matches.
No one will stop him now, it's England's captain.
And if you didn't feature in it, and if you were slightly too weak to be involved in that, then you were out. It's just, I suppose, it's part of growing up. I did a huge amount of my growing up as captain of England. 22 to 30, I was captain of England.
We join Will Carling in the first stage of our rehearsal.
I can understand why you said England team. It's just it excludes all the Welsh, Scottish kids, Exactly. We're not worried about the jocks, are we?
Hello, Mr. Blobby.
You kick Mr. Bobby and say, yeah, not worried about the jocks, are we? That doesn't go down very well, whereas actually, if you're around with 3 or 4 of your mates, they'd have a laugh, or if one of them was Scottish, you'd go, come back with a retort. But on TV, yeah, it doesn't look particularly good. One pub in Scotland, you could put 10p in, and a face got beamed down, and it was either Maggie Thatcher, Saddam Hussein, or me, I think, and I was about 95%. Of being on me, and I can understand that. You appear arrogant because, for me, I wanted to appear confident. I wanted to be as proud of being English as the Scots were of being Scottish, the Welsh were of being Welsh, all that sort of stuff, which the Celts, you know, A, weren't used to and sort of don't like, because if it all still gets me. If the English are proud and patriotic, that's arrogant for some reason. Whereas to me, it's like, well, hang on, this is my dream, playing for my country. 91 was just a very pragmatic sit-down of, we don't want to lose. We just do not want to lose. We want to win a Grand Slam. It was almost like we don't want to win a Grand Slam, we just don't want to lose a Grand Slam type thing. And that was the whole mentality, and it was, yeah, we'd been hurt by the mistakes that we had made, so, you know, and else, so it was like, now we're not going to make them this time. In 1989, went down to Cardiff to play for the championship. Not a Grand Slam. I think I'd had food poisoning for a couple of days, felt awful. We hadn't won in Cardiff for 30 years, or whatever it was. It poured with it was unbelievable weather. We never got into the game. We never came to terms with the intensity of Cardiff. And I remember in a haze driving back the next day, stopping at the first service station on the M4 on the way home. Walked into whatever the shop in there was, bought some water, bought some, what else. Walked out to realise that the Welsh fans, there were obviously coachloads of Welsh fans in this place, had developed this huge tunnel all the way back out into the car park. And I had to walk down it, and the abuse I got was unbelievable. I remember getting to my car and sitting in the car, putting central locking on, and just thinking, not next time. You know, not next time. It just was like, yeah, I'm not going through that again. And I remember sitting down with Jeff afterwards, and we'd stayed in a lovely little resort, St Pierre Golf and Country Club, which is just over the bridge. I mean, you can still see England, you can still smell England, and England have been staying there for, I presume, 30-odd years, having a lovely time, driving into Cardiff, losing, and going home. Well, let's go and stay in the middle of Cardiff. You know, let's come to terms with everything that goes with being in Cardiff when you're English, an English rugby team. So we went and stayed right next to the stadium. We didn't get a coach into the stadium, we walked in, which was unbelievable when you look back on it. And I was very close to the likes of Dooley and Richards and Teague as we walked in. But the looks on people's faces was like, you know, England walking in. I remember when Mike Teague scored towards the end, running over to congratulate him, and just in the corner of my eye seeing this, she must have been a sort of late 70s granny with this umbrella, shaking her umbrella, you know, Carling, I hate you, Carling! I think 1990, being beaten by Scotland in Murrayfield, people say we lost the Grand Slam. We didn't. We were beaten. That is the most painful experience for me as captain, because I think we just got that so wrong. We were the classic, arrogant English. We had played very, very well in that championship, and we went up to Scotland and underestimated them to a criminal degree.
Hodgkinson stroked it very well. England, first blood, 3-0.
A huge amount of the Scotland game was payback, was the thought of losing to them again was just too much to think about. And it was, it was part of that year of, we don't want to lose.